Today, I'm riding on a mysterious overnight train that you've probably never heard of, spending 21 hours travelling along the legendary Silk Route Railway in Uzbekistan. We'll traverse endless incredible mountain scenery, meet some of the locals en route, and even experience the mysterious maximum security Qamchik Tunnel through the mountains. This is an unbelievable journey that you cannot miss out on, so join me as I ride across Uzbekistan. Hello and welcome back to another video. Today I'm here in Andijan in the east of Uzbekistan, and I'm going to be travelling by train across the entire length of the country to Xiva. I've booked a private compartment for this journey and the scenery promises to be amazing. I'm looking forward to it, let's go! Good morning from Andijan, the second largest city in Uzbekistan, known for being a stop on the ancient Silk Road. Let's start off today by heading to the station, hidden away behind a major road and a row of trees. Good luck if you're in a wheelchair. Andijan's main station is rather creatively named Andijan 1, with Andijan 2 having closed to passenger trains years ago. The station was totally refurbished quite recently, and is now a modern construction inspired by historic Uzbek architecture. Access to the station is tightly controlled, with a ticket inspection and luggage scan. A ticket office can therefore be found in a separate building, outside the station confines. Tickets are inspected in this little hut, found in one corner of the fence. Once through, we can head inside the small yet functional main hall. This modern design is definitely a sharp contrast to the outdated train we'll be riding on today. After a quick luggage scan, we're in the waiting room, where plenty of seats can be found. Facilities include an unstaffed tourist information desk and an unstaffed bookshop. Though luckily, there was someone selling packaged snacks and drinks for the long journey ahead. With little to see inside the station, I decided to head out to the platforms. Andijan 1 doesn't see that many trains, with at most 4 daily services heading towards Tashkent. Even these trains are relatively new due to political reasons, which we'll get to soon. Uzbekistan's railways were mostly built during the Soviet era, and there are many telltale signs of this history. This passing electric locomotive is a classic Soviet design, namely a VL-80S, with the VL standing for Vladimir Lenin, of course. And with this massive freight train having passed, our train is called for boarding. My train today is number 125F, the 0944 departure to Xiva in the west of the country. This service is operated by Uzbekistan Temir Yoʻllari, the national operator of Uzbekistan, and in fact the only train company in the country. I'm booked in Carriage 5 today, though when I reached the carriage, the attendant was still asleep. Up front today is a 14-year-old OZ-Y electric locomotive, built by CSR Zhuzhou. This powerful locomotive is designed specifically for hauling heavy passenger trains on challenging routes, much like the route we'll travel on today. After much waiting, the carriage attendant was still not present, so a whole bunch of passengers had to wait outside the door as departure time fast approached. Eventually, the stairs were deployed, and after explaining my unusual ticket situation, I was allowed on board. This carriage is a classic Ammendorf car, a common Soviet-era design, with thousands of these being built in what was then East Germany from the 1950s. Though this particular one was built in the early 1990s. I'm travelling in Kupe class today, which features private rooms, each with 4 beds. My room is number 4, and I've booked all beds in the compartment to give me extra privacy. Today's route sees us heading west, winding among the mountains and through the Kamchik Tunnel to Tashkent, and then along the Silk Route Railway in the barren Central Asian desert to Xiva. Journey time is scheduled to be 21 hours and 26 minutes, covering 1,438 kilometres or about 894 miles. We slowly pull out of Andijan 1 station 2 minutes late at 09:46. Just a few minutes later, we're up to speed and running through the fertile plains of the Fergana Valley region. Before we get to the incredible mountain views, let's take a look around the interior of the small room that's going to be my home for the next 21 hours. All rooms have a sliding door. This can be locked like this, but also features a latch for extra security. The rooms have 4 bunks centred around a small table. By day, these can be used for sitting on, with a firm backrest being provided. The benches themselves are actually really comfortable thanks to the soft mattress. There's also a very squishy cushion provided, making it even easier to relax. The room has a table by the window covered by a smart tablecloth. When you board, you can find a small bottle of water for each bed, as well as a selection of black and green tea bags and some sugar. Also included is a set of fresh bedding, but we'll look at that later on when it's time to go to sleep. Luggage storage on these carriages is plentiful. You can find a large shelf above the corridor. Beneath the lower bunks, there's a secure luggage storage box. Nobody can reach this, as you'll be sleeping right on top of it. Next to the door, you can find some coat hooks which were in bad condition, but should still work fine. And each bed gets a net, where you can store smaller personal items such as your phone. Windows on the train are a little bit odd, with this bit being heavily tinted to keep the beaming sun at bay. But this bit at the top is not tinted, allowing the full heat of the sun directly into your room anyway. The window can be slightly opened, a small mercy on this hot summer's day, as no carriages on this train have aircon. Absolutely brutal, as temperatures in Uzbekistan can reach nearly 50 degrees. There was also a sunblind, though this wasn't working properly. And lastly, none of these rooms have any power sockets, and whilst there were some in the corridor, these weren't working. Back outside, we are pulling into our first station after just under an hour of travel. This is Marchielon, a city of 250,000 people in its own right, but also the closest station to the similarly sized city of Fergana. Our ride through the Fergana Valley continues, with countless fields of plants. Most of Uzbekistan is a dry and arid desert, with the Fergana Valley region flourishing thanks to the increased rainfall and cooler temperatures. And as this pleasant landscape speeds by, I decided to get a cup of tea. Boiling hot water can be dispensed at the end of the carriage, so let's try this Uzbekistan Railways branded tea. By the way, these carriages can be fairly rough at speed, so be very careful not to burn yourself. Trains in this part of the world usually serve tea in a glass in a metal holder, known as a podstakanik. What a classic vibe. As we reach the end of the Fergana Valley, it's time to talk about the politics behind this service. Until mid-2016, trains between Andijan and Tashkent took a very different route, running through the territory of Tajikistan. This required 2 border crossings and resulted in Uzbekistan Railways incurring some hefty transit fees. Of course, in Soviet times, this was not an international border, allowing freight trains to easily pass through Tajikistan to reach the Fergana Valley. But in the years following independence, relations between Uzbekistan and Tajikistan grew unfriendly. Pair this with the logistical issues, and Uzbekistan urgently sought a replacement route. This new mountainous route was funded by Chinese and other international loans, with China Railway Company also lending its expertise for constructing the 19-kilometre long Qamchik Tunnel. The railway over the Qamchik Pass has become an essential asset to Uzbekistan, and as well as the limited passenger trains, it also sees a large amount of freight. Here, we begin to climb a sharp gradient, heading away from the densely populated Fergana Valley region. Our 8,000 horsepower locomotive makes easy work of this challenging railway as we climb into the stunning Kurama mountain range. This mountain range spans Uzbekistan, Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan, with a length of 170 kilometers. The views from up here are breathtaking, with the railway running across the mountains and looking down upon the valley below. Down there is the town of Chodak, a start point for many mountain hike trails and a fast-growing domestic tourism destination. The town is served by Kon train station. I've never really understood stations like this, as despite their modern and large construction, no trains actually stop here. Please tell me in the comments if you know more. As a mountainous route, there are of course numerous bridges, each one offering a different panoramic view of this dramatic landscape. But this is where things start to get a little bit strange, as we slow down just outside the Qamchik Tunnel. The carriage attendant passes along the corridor, shutting all of the windows, and instructs passengers to shut the ones in their compartments too. And this was a scorching hot day as well. We came to a stop while a few inspections of the train took place. Even the army were present, seemingly exchanging paperwork with the driver. After 10 minutes, we are back on the move, and pretty much immediately speed into the Kamchik Tunnel. This tunnel is shrouded with mystery, which was actually the reason I wanted to try out this train in the first place. According to a report by fellow train traveller Mark VD, the situation used to be even more unusual, with the staff prohibiting the use of electronic devices and even pulling down the blinds while in the tunnel. This has led to a lot of speculation, with some people theorising that they have hidden something inside the tunnel. But whatever the truth is, it's certainly mysterious. After a 15-minute journey through the tunnel, we've emerged from the other side, and the scenery here is just as incredible. We follow the Akhangaran river as it slowly descends towards the city of Angren. This river leads to a reservoir, and whilst it looks pretty dry at the moment, there's a lot of capacity for water here. It's fascinating to think that hundreds of years ago this was part of the main trade route between Europe and Asia. Of course, back then the journey would have been made on caravans of camels or horses, rather than this comparatively luxurious Soviet sleeper train. After a while, we reach the Akhangaran Reservoir, one of the country's main domestic supplies of water. This vast body of water betwixt two steep mountain ridges was one of this journey's most impressive sights. Though I'll let you in on a secret, tonight's sunset is going to be equally incredible. And just minutes later, we get a look over this vast open pit coal mine. Talk about a contrast. This area contains nearly a quarter of the coal in the Central Asia region, making the mining industry a key contributor to the local economy. We're now 5 hours into the journey and arriving at Angren station. Until 2016, this was the terminus of the line from Tashkent. The city was created in the 1940s by way of combining numerous existing villages. As we head towards the Uzbek capital, I was paid a visit by some unexpected guests. 3 local men decided to sit in my compartment and have a picnic. They also shared some of their food, in this case some kurt, which is basically a hard dried cheese made from fermented milk and a bit of bread. Anyway, as that surprise picnic was finishing up, we arrived in the city of Tashkent. This is Uzbekistan's capital and largest city, with a population of 3 million. We are currently arriving at Tashkent Janubi, or South Station, the smaller of the two major stations in the city. I decided to get off here and stretch my legs, as well as visit some of the station vendors to stock up on some refreshing cold drinks. Various snacks and ice creams were also available. We change our locomotive here, with this modern 2OZ-UY electric locomotive taking over for the ride on a high-speed line across the desert. This massive two-part Chinese locomotive was built in 2021 and is capable of putting down 12,800 horsepower. Wow! After a 30-minute wait, we pull out of Tashkent Janubi. As we leave, you can catch a glimpse at two of Uzbekistan's Soviet-era commuter trains, the venerable Elektrichka. The line southwards from Tashkent is capable of supporting high-speed trains, and whilst this train is only capable of 120 km an hour, some other trains go much faster. Of course, this is reliant on there not being any heavy freight trains lumbering around in front of you. This station is Gulistan. The city has also been called Mirzachul until the 1960s and was known as Karakum until 2015, where it was renamed to Gulistan, a reference to the area's prominence in the Uzbek cotton industry. As the spectacular desert sunset begins to show itself, let's take a quick look around the rest of the train, starting off with the toilets. Two of these can be found in every carriage, one situated at each end. This was in pretty poor condition and only got worse throughout the journey, unfortunately. By the way, these toilets flush directly onto the track, meaning they cannot be used at stations and are locked out of use when in urban areas. A tiny bar of soap is provided, though this usually goes missing. Water can be had by pushing upwards on the tap. Many other carriages on this train are third class, which is known as Platskart, and features 54 bunks in an open plan layout. Whilst it won't be winning any awards for comfort or privacy, it is a cheaper option and a great way to meet local people. By the way, this train had a restaurant car, but believe it or not, I didn't actually notice this until I was editing, so I didn't visit it. Being out here in the desert of Uzbekistan during sunset was really as incredible as these clips make it look. We even pass one of Uzbekistan's high-speed Talgo units, nicknamed the Afro-Siab. These trains were introduced from 2011 and are capable of 250 km an hour. Let me know in the comments if you want to see a video on this train. The atmosphere of this dusty desert made this one train journey I will never forget. Just look at the vivid orange glow over the landscape. But unfortunately, all good things come to an end, and eventually it gets dark. It's soon time to check out my bed for the night, but first we make one more stop. This station is Samarkand, an incredible historic city that is well worth a visit. It's also the country's third largest by population. Each passenger gets a pack of clean bedding, which can be found waiting on the bed. Once made up, this results in a fairly nice bed. The mattress was pretty comfortable, and on top there was a very soft cushion. By the way, the room's lighting can be controlled using this switch. But personal reading lights can also be found at each bunk, next to the window. And with that, it's time to get some sleep before tomorrow morning's arrival at the ancient city of Xiva. Good morning from Western Uzbekistan. I managed to get around 8 hours of mostly uninterrupted sleep, which is pretty good going. Thankfully, it cooled down a lot during the night, allowing me to get some good rest. We are currently under the power of a diesel locomotive, having swapped to this in the middle of the night. This won't be a thing for much longer in Uzbekistan, and you can already see the electrification works taking place here. And now on to how much this journey costs. For one bed in Kupe class, I paid 266,780 Uzbek som. I booked this on the easy-to-use Uzbek Railways app. For a 21-hour sleeper train ride across a country, I think this is a pretty good deal. Note that I bought 4 tickets to ensure a private room, which quadrupled the cost of my journey. We eventually pull into Xiva station, one of the latest additions to Uzbekistan's railway network, having just opened in 2018. Arrival at this seriously oversized station is just 3 minutes late at 07:13. Overall, this was a really good journey with Uzbekistan Railways. These old carriages have a lot of charm, even if they are lacking modern features you would expect, such as power sockets and aircon. However, the scenery, friendly fellow passengers, and good value more than made up for this shortfall. As always, let me know what you thought of this Uzbek sleeper in the comments, and for a look at the region's shocking corrupt cross-border train, then click up here now.